on down there?
It's in your face.
What the hell is going on down there?
Well, show's over, folks. I ain't gonna lie, Raw was quite somber for it to be. He's not up here. No. Only batteries we would get would come from you. You had that big old container of batteries, but we don't have any more. All right, y'all. I mean, Raw was very, very quiet for it to be.
All the AA batteries.
Or after the Mania, after the Rumble we just had, it was very, very somber. Extremely somber. And I was like, it's rather quiet, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm here. That's real good right there. You welcome. You were welcome, honey. You ain't gotta make that face. Hi, mommy. Now, I wasn't expecting a lot, but I was expecting enough. And what we got was basically some low expectations. Can you turn it down? I'll say this. They did a very good job at making sure we knew what was the next direction for these two. Okay, so we all know that Cody won the Rumble. It was a pretty predictable Rumble. But we all know that he won, and we all know that Rhea Ripley won. Now, in Rhea Ripley's case, hold on, y'all.
Damn right we take turns being wrong. I get real accountable when I'm alone. I get real about it all when I'm alone. It's so crazy missing you. I get on. Now Julio made me.
All right, y'all. So we know Rhea Ripley set a record for being in the Rumble for over an hour. Praises go to Rhea Ripley for her durability, her stamina, but also Liv Morgan was in that Rumble just as long as she was, not a few minutes shy than she was. So Liv deserves some credit as well, which I gave her the night of the Rumble. With all that being said, we found out who Rhea Ripley was going to challenge at WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley chose Charlotte Flair to challenge at WrestleMania. I'm not mad at it. You know, sis is like, listen, I want my redemption. I want my shot back. She put me in my place once, but I ain't gonna let her put me in my place again. And she made it very clear that Charlotte Flair needed to count her days. 62 days, well, 61 in a couple of minutes. It'll be 61 days until WrestleMania. And in between that time, there is an elimination chamber. Now, the chamber match, instead of it being for Roman's secondary title, Cody's going for both. So Roman's going to wrestle on one night, which I really detest. Although things could change, I don't believe that they will. They've already got the thing billed and booked as Cody going up against Roman for both championships, which I'll get into that later. The show kicked off with Cody Rhodes cutting a promo, and basically he talked for 10 minutes about his journey in the WWE, then his journey outside of the E, and his stubbornness, his lack of dedication, and his lack of trusting the process, and how he was able to move all past that and evolve, get married, have children, and be able to put himself in a position to finally achieve that childhood dream that his father was never able to do, but he was able to finally see, achieve, and reach. So, Cody Rhodes made it very clear to Roman that his days were also numbered as the Universal Champion. With all that being said, Judgment Day came out there, and Dominic Mysterio was being weird on the microphone, as was Damian Priest and the rest of them. It just seemed like an awkward-ass moment between them. I would have been okay if Finn was the one that was directing the animosity at Cody, but it all came from Dom, and he was mad because he got eliminated in the match, and he basically said that he stole his moment from him. It just was a weird exchange, and Dominic irritates me, is the best way to explain it. Cody got amped up by the Tulsa crowd, and basically, hello, B. Jeffers, how are you? He got amped up by the crowd, and basically, he goaded the Judgment Day into picking one of them to compete against him later on in the night. They were the main event. Finn Balor's the one who accepted. Now, throughout the night, we got some little nuggets. Basically, what they did is they turned the Elimination Chamber for the U.S. Championship into a tournament. So, each person is going to be in a qualifying match, all right? The qualifying matches determines who goes to the chamber and who doesn't. What we got was Gargano and Corbin going at it at first. First match went to Gargano. The next match was Seth Rollins versus Chad Gable. That match went to Seth Rollins, just barely. And then we got another qualifying match with Bronson Reed and Dolph Ziggler. This by far was the weirdest match on the docket. There was no crowd reaction for either of them. They sat there and acted as if they didn't see anybody out there wrestling. There was no reaction to anything that they did, except for when Bronson Reed went to the top rope and did his tsunami slam, or whatever he calls it, on top of Dolph Ziggler. This allowed Bronson Reed to pick up the win, and he has now qualified for one of the chamber pods. Now, that means Bronson Reed, Austin Theory, the title will be defended in the chamber. Bronson Reed, Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, and Johnny Gargano are all competing in the U.S. Elimination Chamber match. There are 2 slots left for the chamber match, and I am 1,000% sure that Bobby Lashley will more than likely garner one of those slots. Now, who else is in the chamber is totally up to Trip. I don't know what they're going to do with that. With all that being said, we had some women featured on the show today, which was nice. As I told y'all earlier, Rhea Ripley made it very clear that Charlotte was her target. That left Bianca open. Now, somebody in the comments tell me what happened with Bianca, because I distinctly remember going to commercial and Bianca Belair being announced to be the next one that we would see. But when it came back on, I don't remember Bianca Belair coming out there. Now, am I wrong? Did I miss something? Did my TV glitch or something? Okay, so they did say she was up next, and she didn't come out there. They just basically cut that whole segment? Is that what y'all telling me? They went straight to Cody and Finn. I thought I was tripping too. So they did go straight to Cody. They cut her segment. Y'all could have cut Miz's segment if you want to be real. That match with Boogs didn't have to happen. If you were going to do that, Bianca is the champion. B. Jeffers says they said on Twitter her segment got cut, and then one says she's filming with Montez. Montez was there though. Montez had a whole segment in the back during the show. Okay? So my thing is, if she was filming with Montez, why would you cut your Raw Women's Champion segment? Now, fair is fair. Becky and Bayley deserved the segment that they got. They deserved that time. So I wasn't mad about any of that. Quite frankly, I feel like the women, the EO and Candice's match was definitely deserved because they have been cutting the women short for a long time, okay? But here's the thing. That's the Raw Women's Champion. Why would you cut her segment? Unless she was sick or something happened, like there was no reason for her segment to be cut. So that's odd to me. Y'all could have cut Miz's segment. And there's no shade to Miz. But honestly, that crowd didn't pop for Boogs like they could have. And it was a real somber Raw. I'm just being honest. It was a very somber, very predictably booked Raw. And usually after Rumble and WrestleMania, real shit's supposed to go down. You feel me? And this did not happen. So something is off here. Something isn't right. We didn't get anything. And I understand Roman kind of, is a SmackDown guy. So obviously he's not going to be on the show for Raw like that. But he has the belt. He has the belt that would lead out Raw. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not saying his ass should have been there fighting and wrestling, but at the bare minimum, he should have came out there when Cody cut his promo. Like, that should have happened. There should have been some interaction between them. But they're going to put that interaction on SmackDown. Which, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't like it. I'm being honest. I just don't like it. I ain't feel either, and I thought I was tripping. Okay. No, you're not wrong. She didn't show up. Maybe they meant next week unless they cut it. Usually them superstars be backstage unless they're told. Even if they're told they're not going to be used for that night, they keep them backstage in case something happens and they have to do an impromptu match. I highly doubt they would have announced that she was going to be out there and then she just didn't show up. That doesn't compute to me. She's a professional all day long. She was there. They decided to cut the segment. Why would they cut her segment? I don't know. It beats me. Yes, Boog showed up. Okay. Yeah, Tess was there because they announced the qualifying match against Elias. Correct. He was there. I saw him, Dawkins, Boogs, all of it. I was expecting Roman to come out. Couldn't they have had Rhea pick Charlotte on SmackDown since she is the champ? I imagine because Raw didn't really have Roman booked, and since the storyline that led out of Royal Rumble was going to is a SmackDown storyline, they decided that the best thing to do would have the announcements done on Raw, and then they can have the, I guess you could say, the stare downs or the confrontations between the two competitors and their opponents. They can have that on SmackDown because SmackDown's going to get the most views either way. because of the story with Sami, Kevin, and Roman. It's just going to happen. So I guess they felt like they could kind of garner a piece of what everybody was trying to pull from SmackDown, just pull a little bit from SmackDown to get onto Raw and then move on to SmackDown and try to get the storyline finished with SmackDown, because they're definitely going to have some type of match at Elimination Chamber. I don't think Roman will be involved. If he is, I'll be surprised, to be honest. Maybe they did a dark match. They announced her on the show right after that segment with Bronson Reed. It was either Bronson Reed's match or it was Boog's match with Miz. They announced her right after that and was like, Bianca Belair is here after her win over Alexa Bliss. And I'm like, okay. And when I looked up, Cody and them was coming out. And I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something here. I know damn well they announced this girl to come out there today. I just know they did. And then I thought maybe I had fast forwarded it, too fast. So I asked AJ, hey, did Bianca come out there? And he said he didn't know. And I'm like, something is weird here. I guess Rhea challenging the SmackDown champ gives Judgment Day a reason to be on SmackDown and for Dom to keep bothering Ray since he moved to SmackDown as well. I don't think it has anything to do with Judgment Day. They've showed up on SmackDown without her challenging Charlotte before. That don't have nothing to do with it. Charlotte and Rhea have storied history. Pandemic era, it was Rhea and Charlotte for a while. And Charlotte bested Rhea multiple times for her championship. Prior to that, Rhea has had ass whooping after ass whooping being handed to her by Charlotte Flair. It was plausible and it made more sense now that Rhea Ripley has turned herself into something that she feels is a better fit for her and definitely a way to best Charlotte Flair. It is only fair that she goes after the person who has been holding her down, or she feels has been a part of holding her down for the last couple of years. She says she humbled her. And now she's like, I need to make sure she understands that I'm the disruptor and I'm going to take what she covets. I think that's the only way that it could have gone. Sending her to Bianca would have been a great matchup. Of course, those two women always have great chemistry. And they could have made it work because they're both on Raw and because Bianca and Rhea have great chemistry. They know how to sell a story. But there is a story built with Charlotte that I think has more of a personal vendetta attached to it than it would with Bianca and Rhea Ripley, which is why I wasn't completely sold on Rhea going after Bianca. To me, there's a different story to be told with Bianca Belair. Right now, because Charlotte has the title, Charlotte isn't the one. And you have other champions, former champions on the show, and you have a possibility of building up other people to give to Bianca Belair to have a true storyline. We're not going back to Bayley. We're not going back to Becky at this moment. So who's left? You've already gone through Bliss. The next person in that equation is Asuka. And right now she is on a whole different level. So I would love to see Bianca go up against Asuka. Now they posted it online, but it should have been on TV. Like, y'all could have put this on TV. Why would you do that? Hold on, y'all. Let me see what they posted. I'm gonna have to mute it. So I'm gonna take a little quick commercial thing and I'll be back.
Damn Damn right we take turns being wrong. I get real accountable when I'm alone. I get real about it all when I'm alone. It's so crazy missing you. I get on. Now Julio made me a Scorpio, and I might hit your phone up with that ba-ba-ba. Missing my da-da-da, missing that all of this love is toxic. All of this love is toxic. All these kisses and hugs and toxic. You a damn drug.
If you don't wanna see me, if you don't wanna see me, did a full 180, crazy, thinking about the way I once did the heartbreak change me, baby, but look at where I ended up. I'm okay already, so moved on, it's scary. I'm not where you left me at all. So, if you don't wanna see me dancing with somebody, don't show up, don't come out, don't stop caring.
Okay. That could have been on TV. It was simple and to the point. It was a short promo. All they had to do was run it. I would have preferred you put that up there than having me watch The Miz wrestle in a double-breasted suit and worn out Louboutins. Okay. There's no shade to Rick Boogs. I'm happy that he came back or whatever. But that was the only comeback we had, and I was just like, this Raw was real somber. It was real quiet. Like, it was like dead in the water almost. It was right after Bronson's match before the main. It's very puzzling. I remember Charlotte Rhea COVID story. I think they will also have Dom with her for this, for the inevitable him versus Ray. Not that the stories need each other, but they can run together. I wouldn't run at this point. I would not care if Dominic wrestled his father at any given point, because Rey Mysterio is currently injured again. He injured his knee. No, for real. He injured his knee in his last match with Karrion Kross. So he's injured. Even if he wasn't, Dominic going against his father is of no interest to me, mainly because they missed the opportunity to do that when Rey ran to SmackDown, so he didn't have to fight his son. And I'm just not interested. So Dominic is not a factor in this story. He will become one if he sticks by Rhea Ripley's side, which I'm sure that's possible. If they want to do it that way, they can. But he's not the issue or even a part of the equation at the moment when it comes to Rhea Ripley. She came out there today. She cut that promo by herself. There was no Dominic. There was no Judgment Day. There was nobody. It was just Rhea Ripley. So I don't think that Rhea needs Dominic to make this actually work and to win the match. I know a lot of people feel like because Dom is with her and that is the way that they have been using Dominic and Rhea for both of them in terms of their matches as of lately, I don't think that would lend to the credibility of her being able to successfully best Charlotte Flair at her best. You would still be accused with the asterisk of you not being able to beat her without the help. And I don't think that this version of Rhea Ripley would be okay with that. Even given in the storyline itself, the way that it is going, she has made it very clear. Charlotte Flair took me out. She humbled me. And every time she comes back, she always manages to be in the title scene, and she's always better and greater when she comes back. And I don't like it. It pains me to admit it, but it's the truth. But I am the one who is going to dismantle all of that. So you can't have her come out there and say stuff like that and then lose to Charlotte or use Dominic to win. I don't think it will go that way. I think Dominic will try to help. I do think that he's going to try to attempt to help. But I also think that Rhea Ripley's going to tell him to stay in the back. And she's going to handle this one by herself. If she does it, it ain't going to never be a true win for her over Charlotte Flair. Kayfabe wise, reality doesn't matter. It'll never be a true win for her. It'll never be a true moment of I finally bested my greatest foe. It'll never happen for her. And I just don't think that Triple H would tell the story in that way. While, yeah, it would play into her heel, slimy type of persona, I just don't think that version of Rhea Ripley is what's going to win up against Charlotte Flair. She's going to have to be better and smarter than Charlotte, and she's going to have to be 2 steps ahead of her. Now, Dominic may cause a distraction here or there throughout the feud, but I don't think that he will play a factor in the match. If he does, it'll be real slight. He might get thrown out, and then the finals will be between the 2 women. But I don't think that he's a major factor in this in the beginning. Because if he was, or if he would have been, Rhea Ripley would have had him out there today when she cut the promo. None of Judgment Day was out there when she cut the promo. She did that all by her lonesome. And I do believe that she's going to beat her by herself as well. It made sense for her to choose Charlotte because there's history there with Charlotte winning the NXT Women's Championship from her. That was already known, but thank you for that. They put her promo online. I saw it. What you just said about Rhea picking Charlotte is 100% correct. But some people on social media don't want to see the bigger picture because they're in their feelings about it. What you have to understand is having her go up against Bianca Belair, even Bianca said it herself. There's no real animosity between the 2 of them. That story would have had to been built from scratch. They would have had to start now with Rhea Ripley going after Bianca Belair, and it would have worked. Everything would have been great. Nobody's saying that Rhea and Bianca wouldn't put on a banger of a match. But what you have with Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley is a true personal vendetta from one side to the other. Because Charlotte Flair could say that Rhea Ripley was one of her best adversaries. And she wants to take her down once and for all. So it can go both ways. With Bianca Belair, it would simply be about, I get to best another foe, and it's just a notch in her belt. But with Rhea Ripley beating Charlotte Flair, that means something. And I'm not saying it wouldn't mean anything with Bianca, because it would. Those 2 have history too. The last time that those 2 competed against each other in NXT, Bianca lost to Rhea Ripley. So I understand why people are like, there's a story with them too. But that story would have to be revisited because a lot of y'all was not watching NXT when those girls was down there dominating. So y'all don't really know the story. You would have to go back to learn the story, then get involved in the story where it is right now. Whereas you already have a clear picture of what's going on with Rhea Ripley and why she feels like she has something she has to prove going up against Charlotte Flair. It just was the better story. It's just that simple. I admit I've been in my feelings, Kayla, but I'll get right the hell over it. Ooh, sorry. I am so sorry, but I do not know what this says, babe. So if you guys are overseas or in different countries and you're watching my YouTube channel, I apologize if I see y'all comments and I don't say them because I don't know what this means. Somebody gonna have to I'm gonna have to go to Google Translate and figure this out, babe. Because I don't know what this is. I'm smart, but I ain't that damn smart. Hold on a second, baby. Hold on. What is this? This is French. Okay. No, baby, I'm typing it like it is, baby. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what that means. Google Translate can't translate it, child. I don't know. If that's what the promo was, that could have easily been put on the show. That's what the promo was, KB, and it definitely could have been put on the show. Most definitely. To me, Rhea is not going to win versus Charlotte because Beth Phoenix is going to interfere. I disagree 100%. You're right about Dom versus Ray, but WWE will eventually run it. I feel the same way you do too, but they love these parent versus child storylines. It's honestly not even worth going back to. If Ray was going to do it, he should have did it already. There was no reason to drag this shit out for months like this, then wait until WrestleMania to decide you got some balls and go up against your son. When you know he's going to beat you because you're trying to pass the torch over to him. Like you could have been did this. He'll try to help and either get thrown out. It's Mania. They won't do an unclean win in a situation like this. That's what I'm saying. I think Beth Phoenix is going to be taken care of way before WrestleMania. It's going to happen with Charlotte. It don't make sense to complicate things with Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix and Rhea Ripley can have a match on Raw. Or they can have a match at Elimination Chamber, a one-on-one match, if that's what they want to do. It makes no sense to me to have her interfere in a match that has nothing to do with her. Because they could have been ended this Judgment Day shit. They could have started at the beginning of January. I don't know where the fuck Edge was at. But they could have had this shit happen at the Rumble. Like, what the hell? Maybe they want to give him a WrestleMania moment against his son before he's done. I don't know. Then you shouldn't have started the storyline with the Judgment Day and with Dominic turning at Clash at the Castle. That should have happened at War Games. If that's what you was going to do, that shit should have happened at War Games. Because it just don't make sense to me. I don't like stopping storylines in the middle and then starting them up again. Because at that point, I'm not interested in it anymore. And it was piss poor. It was poorly executed from the beginning. It just was poorly executed. As time progressed and Triple H was getting a handle on the running the show, he was trying to he was extending the story out with the OC and shit, and then they tried to wrap it up really quickly. It was messy, and it's still messy, and I just don't care for it. Ooh, child, the ice is coming down. I didn't watch the show because I was at work, but who qualified already for the men's chamber match? If you said it already, I could just rewind. I did say it already. Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed. Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed. What was the third match? Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, and Johnny Gargano qualified for the men's elimination chamber. There are 3 slots left, and they're going to have Montez Ford go up against Elias next week. Dawkins is going to go up against Damian Priest next week. And I don't know who's going to take the third, but I imagine... Oh, well, it's only 2 slots left. I imagine Bobby Lashley will find some kind of way to get in there. I don't know how he's going to find a way, but he's going to find some kind of way. If they don't have him and Omos fighting again because of that shit that happened with MVP today. Anyways. Yeah, Raw was still a very somber show. They still overlooking Ali. I mean, fair. I mean, I can't defend that, but they can't have everybody in the chamber. And they can't have everybody in the chamber. And Gargano hasn't been on TV in a while due to they had a minor injury. So he wasn't on TV for a little bit. I know shade, but if I was booking it, I probably would book it with Gargano in the chamber too. No shade to Ali. I love Ali, but I would book that with him. Like, I feel like once we start to do the superstar draft and they start to, kind of shake things up, then we can start to see where people land, and then we can start to make some changes as to how things are being booked. We're heading into WrestleMania right now, and that, like I said, it's no shade to Ali, but right now I feel like they could just keep going the course, clear out whatever feuds are left over that they don't need anymore, get rid of them, go head into Mania, focus on the Mania matches that are set to go, and leave everything else where it is. You feel me? Both Street Profits, interesting. Deserved, but interesting. Yes, both members of the Street Profits are competing for the last 2 slots in the chamber. But I feel like one of them is not going to make it in that chamber. Damian Priest more than likely is going to qualify over Dawkins. And no shade to Elias, but I put Montez in that chamber over him. But I think Bobby Lashley is going to attack Montez and take Montez's spot.
What's his name? Spot.
Or he's going to attack somebody and take their spot. It's probably going to be somebody like Gargano or Bronson Reed. Like, any one of them. It seemed like somebody's going to get attacked and he's going to end up taking a spot. That's wild. Tez is going. Of course. Y'all know I hate Elias. I know, babes. I know. I just don't see it. In my humble opinion, putting Montez in the Elimination Chamber is a grand idea. I'm okay with that. But I wouldn't have put Montez up against Bobby Lashley in any way, shape, or form to go into that chamber. Now, unless they decide to have Brock Lesnar and Bobby fight it out at WrestleMania, which I believe they're going to do, because they have a big card to fill. There's 2 nights. You know what I'm saying? 2 nights have to be taken care of. So, unless that's the goal, or at least unless that's the case, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think Elias needed this opportunity. Bobby got to get that lick back. That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking he's going to focus on Brock Lesnar, but he's going to have a problem in his path with MVP after MVP took that spear today. It was Theory's fault, but he took that spear. Tez deserves it, but Dox really has impressed me for real. Both of them got licks to get back at this point. They gonna fight at Mania. Randy's still out, and who knows how long AJ gonna be out. AJ gonna be out for a while. He broke his ankle, I think it was, or his foot. It was his ankle. They saying it's gonna be a minute. You know, he's got to be off his ankle for at least 3 to 4 months, if that. It might be longer, at least 6 months. No weight on your ankle. Then you got to rehab, work that ankle back up, build up that muscle back in that ankle. I don't think AJ's going to be back for another year. Like, he's gone for a minute. I don't think Randy Orton going to be back for a while either. I don't think Randy will be back until after WrestleMania next year, if he comes back in any capacity. Triple H has been known to not pull the trigger on people who have recently been injured and recovering. So it'll be a slow go for any of these people when they come back. And by then, Big E will be ready to come back after his year hiatus. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of slow triggers for a lot of people coming back. They need at least one good marquee match. I agree. Good point about AJ and Randy. The best way I can explain it is that while Bobby might work his way into this chamber, he's not going to win it because Brock Lesnar is going to make sure that he doesn't. He eliminated Brock Lesnar, remember? Now, if Bobby finds some kind of way to finagle himself into one of these matches for the Elimination Chamber, more than likely Brock Lesnar is going to cost him that match too, which will then lead to a brawl between the two men. And of course, that can lead into a match either at Elimination Chamber, which I would leave off of Chamber. Let the focus of the Chamber be the Chambers. I would leave that off, but I would let it go into Mania. Let them have that match at Mania. Last big fight they had was at Crown Jewel, and it was a mess. So they might want to clean it up and do something bigger and better at WrestleMania. It's 2 nights. They need to figure out something to supplement Roman only wrestling one night. They got to have something going. I'm not saying Rhea Ripley and Charlotte are not a draw, because they will be, as will Bianca and whoever she faces at WrestleMania. But Roman Reigns is the biggest superstar in the world right now. He is not going to be on both cards. So, we have a problem. You know what I'm saying? And most people are going to go to the show that Roman is going to be wrestling on. They're not going to show up at both nights unless there's something that they really want to see. And while a lot of us are tired of seeing Brock Lesnar, and I don't give a shit about Bobby Lashley, there are many people, millions of people, who actually would care about that kind of match. So it's very possible that that match could be booked for WrestleMania, and a lot of people will enjoy it. With all that being said, child, it seems like WrestleMania has already started to, the road to WrestleMania has begun, and the girls are ready to roll. Cody Rhodes is going up against Roman Reigns. Hold tight, y'all.
Damn right we take turns being wrong. I get real accountable when I'm alone. I get real about it all when I'm alone. It's so crazy missing you back it on. Julio made me Scorpio, and I might hit your phone up with that rock vibe. Missing my da-da-da, missing that all of this love is toxic. All of this love is toxic. All these bitches and hugs and toxic. You a damn drug.
If you don't wanna see me, if you don't wanna see me, did a full 180, crazy, thinking about the way I was. Did the heartbreak change me, baby? But look at where I.
It was like, you don't want to be in here talking. We are not waiting around. We're leaving. That's fine.
Why is it so many of them?
That is 100% okay. All right. So as I said, Cody Rhodes will be competing for the undisputed Universal WWE Championship against Roman Reigns. They have not decided which night Roman and Cody will compete on. The card says April 1st and April 2nd. So we're going to have to wait and see. And we now know that Rhea Ripley is challenging Charlotte Flair for her SmackDown Women's Championship. This also does not dictate the night that they will compete. It just says Sunday and Saturday, April 1st and 2nd. So 2 of the matches for WrestleMania are already set and ready to go. They are looking to continue to set matches going into WrestleMania. They already have the Elimination Chamber set up for the United States Championship, but I'm very curious as to what they're going to do for Gunther's Intercontinental Championship. Now, in my humble opinion, Gunther proved that very well that being inside the Royal Rumble, he now has the longest time in a 30-man Royal Rumble, lasting 1 hour and 11 minutes. That man is a monster. Quite frankly, I would have rather they did the Elimination Chamber with Gunther rather than doing it with Austin Theory. But I feel like they're going to revisit Sheamus going after Gunther for that U.S. Championship. And if that's the case, then all is well, and happy as home is happy as house. I won't say a word. I will keep my comments to myself and appreciate the match that is being given to me. However, if they choose someone else and it is not Sheamus, we got beef. We having fucking problems, okay? Because I would rather watch Sheamus and Gunther go at it again than to watch anybody else compete against Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. And that includes Drew McIntyre. And y'all know I love Drew. But I want to see Gunther and Sheamus go at it again. And I feel like that will be one of the biggest matches of Mania this year. Look at what they did at Clash at the Castle. Case closed. Book it, WWE. You listen to everything else, so book the damn show. Overall, Monday Night Raw was a typical show, but it was quite somber for a Monday Night Raw. I was very disappointed in it. Right. It was a very somber show. Not a lot going on. It almost was elusive, if that makes sense. Like they were hoarding something. Like they had an idea, but they decided not to go with that tonight. You know what I mean? Like something wasn't right. Now, the Women's Elimination Chamber is still being booked out. There are no matches that are on the docket for right now for the Women's Elimination Chamber. But Bianca Belair cut a promo that was sent straight to social media rather than being on the show. And in that show, she named 3 former champions via NXT and, of course, SmackDown and Raw with Asuka, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and it goes on. She basically said, with these former champions, I know I'm going to have my work cut out for me if I go up against either one of them, but I'm the best and the toughest in this company, and there's really anybody who can really fuck with me, which to her credit, she's 100% right. Now, next week, they're going to have a fatal 4-way. Carmella, Piper, and I don't know who the other 2 going to be in that match. Somebody will correct me in the comments. But Carmella, Piper, and 2 other girls are going to be in a fatal 4-way to determine who's going to be a part of, it was Carmella she mentioned too, who's going to be a part of the Elimination Chamber to determine Bianca Belair's #1 contender for her Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. Now, it'd be remiss for them not to add Asuka in there, so it seems like Asuka will compete at some point. They're going to obviously do something on Friday with some of the other girls like Raquel, Liv, maybe even Shayna Baszler. We'll have to wait and see. Shotzi's back, so you have Shotzi over there. You got a lot of work, a lot of material, and a lot of wiggle room to work with. They got a lot of building to do. It's going to be interesting to see. It was Candice and Mia. Thank you. Yes, I absolutely would love to see Sheamus versus Gunther 100%. It was Candice and Mia. I forgot. I'm so sorry, Candice. I'm sorry, Mia. It was just a weird-ass day today. And this Raw was even weirder. It had weirdo vibes to it. It just wasn't hitting like it was supposed to. We did get Edge attacking Judgment Day again, along with Rhea Ripley being speared by Beth Phoenix, and that's about as good as it got. Bayley, the best points was Edge taking out Judgment Day and helping Cody get a W over Finn. But also Becky and Bayley's exchange was very good on Monday Night Raw today. It was something to watch. Those two have real chemistry with each other. But Becky knew that having her out there with her cronies ready and willing in the back, she had to do something to have an ace in the hole. So she attacked both of them backstage the very same way that they would have attacked their adversaries before any type of promo or match. Now, prior to this, Io had a match with Candice LeRae, to which obviously she had a lot of help and cheated in the match from Bayley, and even Dakota helped her win this match. But later on in the night, when Becky was out there and was called out by, obviously Bayley was out there gloating that she won, Becky made it very clear that Bayley is always ducking and dodging her because she is afraid of her. She knows that she's better than her, that she has done better than her, her career's gone better than her, and she's basically just mad. Well, Bayley decided to hit way below the belt, and she was just like, you will never be better than me. I'm always going to be better than you. In fact, we all know that you are nothing without your husband, and the only reason why he married you is because you got knocked up. Child. Becky stood there with her mouth tight. I said, them fighting words, bitch. I don't know where you from, but where I'm from, that's an ass whooping. You know what I'm saying? That's your ass fucking with me. Becky kept her cool though. Becky said, we'd all started in Orlando, and that's where it needs to end. So next week, we're going to have that steel cage match that you tried to duck with me in. Do you accept? Bayley said no. So Becky said, I thought you might say that. So hold on, I got something for you. This heifer went in the back and grabbed Dakota by her hair and started dragging her out there with a chair attached to her foot. And she said, do you accept? It's either you accept or I take her out right here, right now. Bayley came down, didn't say anything. So Becky said, all right then. And lifted up that chair. She screamed, said, yes, I accept. I accept your match. Becky said, good. I'll see you next week in Orlando. And then she said, oh, by the way, you might want to go back there and check on your other friend, Io. And then she was gone. Becky got what she wanted. And Pammy Pockets was standing out there basically woo-woo-wooing Dakota Kai and her fucked up knee. Well, the match that was canceled 2 weeks ago has now been reset and made center focus next week's Monday Night Raw. I guarantee you that match will more than likely be your main event. So even though we didn't get it on Raw 30, we are getting it next week on Monday Night Raw. With all that being said, I pray to God that Friday Night SmackDown is much, much better than this Monday Night Raw. I also pray that NXT has a little bit more oomph to it tomorrow as well, seeing as how it's the final NXT before their pay-per-view at Vengeance Day. Now, NXT is finally having a pay-per-view at a separate venue, okay? Their pay-per-view is going to be in North Carolina. And they're testing out traveling and all that good shit, which they definitely should be doing. All right? So, this coming Tuesday, tomorrow, you're going to have the Creed brothers finally competing against Indus Sher. I don't see the Creed brothers beating Indus Sher, especially with Jinder Mahal in their corner. But it's not that it's not possible. It's just to get Indus Sher over, they would have to take out the Creed brothers. With all that being said, Cora Jade is obviously in her feelings about once again being the first woman to be eliminated in yet another battle royal. And Lyra, she didn't like the fact that Lyra lasted as long as she did, so she made sure to cost her opportunity in that battle royal as well. So these two have true animosity towards each other, and we're stuck with watching Cora Jade wrestle once again. I like Lyra a lot. I think that she's an excellent wrestler. She performs exceptionally well. And I find that all of the UK girls that come over are very much as good, if not better, than their male counterparts. On our side of things, on the American side of the things, I feel like some of them are quite hesitant to perform at that caliber. But when you're in the ring with somebody like that, you are severely exposed when you don't perform at that level. So I would imagine that Cora would have no choice but to rise to the occasion going into this match against Lyra because she is that good. With all that being said, the final match that's announced for NXT is this triple threat match, with the winning team being able to be added to the Fatal 4-Way match that is happening at NXT Vengeance Day, which I will show you in a minute. The Dyad, Malik, and Idris, and of course Andre Chase and Duke Hudson are all set to compete for their opportunity to compete for the NXT Tag Team Championships, which currently are being held by the New Day. Now, for NXT Vengeance, this is going to happen this Saturday, February 4th. So while we thought we was going to get a bit of a reprieve, I warned you guys a few weeks ago that February was going to be quite the full month. You're going to have, prior to this, we just had Royal Rumble. Now we're going to have Vengeance Day. We're going to get a break with Super Bowl, and then we're getting Elimination Chamber. So it's coming back to back to back. And then we'll get a small break. Whole month of March will be free of PLEs as far as I know, unless NXT decides to come up with one. And then in April, on the 1st, we're getting WrestleMania. Now, for NXT Vengeance Day, Wesley is going to compete against Dijakovic. I hate calling him Dijak. It's a stupid ass name. He's competing against Dijakovic to defend his North American Championship. Dijakovic is looking for his weird version of justice, which I don't understand because Wesley hasn't stolen anything from him, hasn't done anything to him, but he claims justice needs to be served, and it's his brand of justice that will be served. Okay, babe, whatever works for you. Wesley, on the other hand, feels as though while Dijakovic is handing out hard, cold justice, he has something he has to prove to Dijakovic. And it's very simple, that he's the champ and he's going to stay the damn champion. With all that being said, Roxanne Perez performed exceptionally well in the Women's Royal Rumble this past Saturday. And I expect nothing less from her than that type of performance at that caliber against these two birds, Toxic Attraction. Now, this is a triple threat match, but Toxic Attraction is operating as a tag team. I imagine that will begin to break down within that match, but for the most part, it's going to be a 2-against-1 assault against Roxanne Perez. But from what I saw last night in that Royal Rumble, if she translates that into this match with these two birds, then these two ain't going to stand a chance against Roxanne Perez. And that's just being real. Roxanne is what she claims to be and what a lot of people tout her to be. I just needed to see it for myself, and she finally opened up the can and came out there with all the spitfire in the world, and that's the Roxanne that's going to have to stay in NXT in order for her to be as dominant as she needs to be. All that said, we're moving on. This is what it was originally set to be, a triple threat for the NXT Tag Team Championships between Gallus, NXT, and Pretty Deadly. But when Malik and Idris, and of course the Dyad, decided that maybe we deserve an opportunity, you're always giving opportunities to everybody else and leaving us out. Xavier and Kofi agreed. So instead of cutting them out of the match, they decided to make a 4th slot. And now that's where you're getting the triple threat that's coming Tuesday between those 3 teams. However, I would have added Indus Sher if they beat the Creed brothers, but that's just me. Anyways, we're going to move on to the final matches. The big match. This pay-per-view is going to be interesting. Grayson Waller has been antagonizing Bron Breakker for weeks, almost a few months now, and he's always been one step ahead of him. For whatever reason, Bron Breakker always operates like a meathead. Instead of him thinking things through, that obviously Grayson Waller is goading him into doing what he wants to do. From the first time he did it, he hit his head against a steel plate, to the second time attacking him at the PC, and then goading him to fight him again, to which he ended up letting him use his own momentum and fly through the barricade and knock himself out. Grayson Waller seems to be one step ahead of Bron Breakker every single time they cross paths. One would have to ask, is that going to continue to go into NXT Vengeance, especially with them being inside the steel cage? Steel cage matches are extremely unpredictable, and they're not that hard to win. The basis of a steel cage match is you can win by 3 ways: pinfall, submission, or your feet touch the ground before the other opponent. You can either walk out through the gate, or you can jump out over the steel cage. It's totally up to you. This don't look good for Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker's been champion for a long time. He's a 2-time NXT Men's Champion. And while everything's been all good for him, the championship is getting a little stale being on Bron Breakker. And everybody, including folks who I never thought would root for Grayson Waller, are all waiting for Grayson Waller to be champion, which I absolutely detest, but I can understand why. Grayson Waller is somebody who commands attention whether you want him to or not. He's not boring, to say the least. He's not boring. And he's always got some type of trick up his sleeve. But despite that, the man can actually wrestle, and he has good moves in the ring. He's entertaining. It's the basis of what I'm trying to say. Bron Breakker is a true athlete. Grayson Waller just wants to be famous, and he's going to do that at any means necessary. With all that being said, I don't know who's going to win this match, but I have the sneaking suspicion that Grayson Waller is going to be your next NXT Men's Champion for a little while. Moving on to a more of a personal vendetta. This is a 2 out of 3 falls match between Carmelo Hayes and Apollo Crews. Now, these two men have a similar aesthetic, similar athleticism, but one edges out over the other with power and brawn, and the other edges out over the other with agility and speed. With all that being said, those two edges cancel each other out, and they become equalized in that ring. So 2 out of 3 falls match is a very, very good way to see who is truly better this day than the other. Now, Carmelo Hayes is angry because he feels like Apollo Crews is in his way. And Apollo Crews feels like he has something to prove against Carmelo because at the time, Carmelo Hayes did own a win over Apollo Crews. But that since has changed the tide since Apollo Crews has beaten Carmelo Hayes. Now they're even. And the only way to prove who's the better of the two is this type of match. Now, we've seen a 2 out of 3 falls match before. Oh. Not they making that personal. Child, that's messy. Anyway, this 2 out of 3 falls match to me is going to be the sleeper cell of the show. And quite frankly, I'm very interested in seeing how this is going to play out, because whoever wins this match will be the NXT Men's Champion's next contender for that NXT title. The final match that was mentioned on the docket for NXT Vengeance Day is this NXT Women's Tag Team match. Now, to be real with you, I can give less than a damn who wins this match. I don't care for Kaden and Katana. Although I did advocate for them to be champion, I have to eat that because I did. They were the most plausible and oldest tag team that the women's division had outside of Toxic Attraction. All right? Now, Ivy and Tatum have just really started to gel with each other and create themselves as a plausible tag team to go up against Kaden and Katana, but they've lost their opportunities to beat them, and obviously they wanted to move on to something different. The storyline between Fallon and Kiana has been a little rocky, And while these two aren't the best of friends, Fallon is trying to make do, seeing as how Brooks is in love with Kiana for whatever fucking reason. Now, Kiana has never been one to play by the rules, and Fallon does. So this causes a bit of a discord between the two women. Meanwhile, Kaden and Katana are operating like a well-oiled machine. With all that being said, the factor of Fallon and Kiana being able to work together and still they have a little I guess you could say mystery factor that Kaden and Katana don't have. Their animosity can be redirected towards the tag team champions, and it can fuel them to be able to beat them. Kaden and Katana aren't unbeatable. They're just easier to work with each other, which makes them harder to beat, but it doesn't make them unbeatable. With all that being said, I don't care who wins this match, and I honestly don't believe that Fallon and Kiana are going to beat Kaden and Katana simply because these two women are like oil and water. They don't mix. So, that is it. That is your card for NXT Vengeance Day. Let me get a short break, a reprieve, if you will. And then Elimination Chamber comes up the week of the 18th. Also, the week of my husband's birthday. So, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out as well. Because the Elimination Chamber will determine who will be your United States champion, which I feel like Austin Theory is going to find a way to weasel his way and win that shit. But it'll also determine who is going to be Bianca Belair's opponent leading into WrestleMania. Now, I don't know how many other matches they're going to put on the docket. I imagine it'd be a couple. But we'll just have to wait and see how this all is going to play out. Because WrestleMania looks like it's going to be one big-ass show. And this coming Friday, it's a lot of shit that has to be unpacked. With Roman Reigns being attacked by Sami Zayn and Sami Zayn being beat mercilessly by the Bloodline. Not to mention Kevin Owens being destroyed in front of the entire world. There are some questions that have to be answered when it comes to the Bloodline and how it has crumbled. The Bloodline is on its way to being dismantled. I have told you guys for months that Sami Zayn was going to be the catalyst to crumble the empire of the Tribal Chief. It was only a matter of time. Empires fall every single time. And when they fall from a tyrant like Roman Reigns, they fall with absolute thuds and sounds that can be heard throughout the land, if you want to be dramatic. So the road to WrestleMania is going to be paved with a lot of bodies. And I hope that we get to see how this all plays out and we actually be excited for a Mania and it not be too convoluted or predictable. I want to be able to enjoy the show. So, final thoughts of this Friday is the finals of the tournament. Imperium is going to go up against... Did Hit Row beat them? Or did Ricochet and Braun Strowman beat Hit Row? They beat them, right?
Ricochet and Strowman won.
Imperium is going to go up against Ricochet and Strowman. So, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Quite frankly, I'd give the thing to Imperium because the better match would be between Imperium and the Usos. Given if Jey Uso returns to the fold, that's another problem that we have to solve. Anyways, they made some announcements about NBA 2K23 if you care. There are 130 confirmed superstars for WWE 2K23, and it seems like it's just a roster with a few legends thrown into the mix, including Bad Bunny, who's a pre-order
bonus. Pre-order bonus.
Yeah, he's a pre-order bonus. So, the list is as follows. We're going backwards, not forward. Vega, Lee, Woods, the whole nine. They even have some NXT people in here with Veer. And they got T-Bar in here. I don't know if they got Dijakovic. Because you know how they did Reckoning and Mia Yim last year. So
And then Nikki Cross and Nikki Ash.
Yeah, they might have some doubles going in here. But it seems like they have the whole roster and the rest of the legends that they usually have. Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Ultimate Warrior, Trish Stratus. Like, did they put Lita in here? I didn't see Lita's name in here. They could have put Lita in here. It'd have been cool with Lita. It just looks like the whole roster. Everybody and their mama is in here. They got Maurice, Natalya, Nikki Cross, Omos is in here. Rick Boogs is on here. Roxanne Perez, Gigi Dolan, JC Jane is in here. Cora Jade, Candice LeRae, Doudrop, AJ Styles, Batista. I don't know who Angel is.
Was Angel Garza?
Okay. I mean, but they usually call him Angel Garza. I don't know. And they got Cameron Grimes in here, which is interesting. We haven't seen Cameron Grimes in a while. But there was a name on here that I did not recognize, and I don't know who that is. They have somebody named Eric in here. I don't know who that is. I don't know. Huh?
Are you sure that's not Eric from the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar?
I mean, I guess. But they could have put the Viking Raiders in here as one team.
Yeah.
But they had Joaquin and them in here separate, so I guess. I was like, who the fuck is Eric? Who is that? Anyways, so this seems to be the official main roster for WWE 2K23. And they are going to have some downloadable characters, obviously, with DLC content. That's the tea, ladies and gents. I am officially done. I'm going to go because I have to do the storyline recap for NXT Vengeance Day, which I just did here for you. So you got it for free. But I didn't go as in depth as I could have, which is what I'm going to do for the podcast. The girls and I are going to be recording for the podcast tomorrow. We're going to talk about Royal Rumble and what we think about, SmackDown and Raw and leading into WrestleMania this year. So the girls and I are going to be recording Down for the Count, and hopefully by Saturday that episode will be up and you guys can take a listen and you can get all three different perspectives. Unfortunately, Janae won't be able to join us, mainly because she has to work, but when it's given the time and Janae can make it, we will have her back on the show as always. Okay. And there is a new episode of the KTT up right now with some more Am I the Asshole content, because that seems to be content that y'all like and want to listen to. Sir, the KTT is up. I would highly recommend that you head on over to Spotify to listen to the podcast. That's something you can listen to while you're doing your homework, while you're cooking, cleaning, whatever the case may be. The Down for the Count podcast and the KTT podcast. The KTT is me personally, but Down for the Count is a baby of Nicole's, mine, and Alexis's, and of course, Janae's. And we've been laboring over that podcast for years, and it's doing pretty damn well, if I say so myself. So I'd appreciate it if you guys would go ahead and follow us over there on Spotify. And if you could do me a solid and follow me on the podcast. Sometimes things will make it on my KTT podcast that I will not post over here because it's not wrestling related, and therefore I'm just not going to post it over here. You're going to get music stuff over there with me, Don, and Rico. All kinds of things will be popping off over there. And of course, on our wrestling podcast, Don does Doubling Back with Don, which does really well. So we got Doubling Back with Don going down on the podcast as well. So make sure you guys follow the podcast. You can get some more info, some more tea. If you have topics you want me to cover on the podcast, just send them straight to my DMs and I got you. Okay? No shade. Okay? Let me get y'all comments in here. Becky just tweeted a picture of Bailey hugging Seth and said, I guess it's not just my spot, she after. Ooh, I saw it. My husband showed it to me, child. I'm going to repost it because that's messy. Ooh, that's messy, baby. That is messy. Oh, that's so messy, honey. That's messy as hell, child. I might start recapping Raw and SmackDown on the podcast too, just in case we have some weeks that we don't do any content and we need some filler, I might start doing that because that's short and easy and simple. I could just take it straight from here anyways, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed the show, even though it was real somber and lackluster and was not giving what it was supposed to have gave. It gave you a little bit, but a Raw after Royal Rumble, that shit should pop like motherfucking popcorn, and it was giving dead in the water, flopping fish, okay? I hope SmackDown give us all of the feels because Raw just made me sleepy, child. And on that note, I'm gonna go. Y'all make sure y'all follow the podcast like I said, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Subscribing, make sure that you guys see when I go live and you can be present when we have these conversations. Also, your comments will be seen because I put them up there, okay? Now, one thing about it and two things for sure, my moderators are very quick with the block button, so be very careful. Talk to me nice. With all that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow after NXT if I ain't got nothing to do. And if I don't see y'all tomorrow, I'll see y'all Wednesday. I gotta go. Y'all have a good day. Bye.